What up, bros and hoes, peeps and creeps? This is Bodala coming to you live from the birdcage. I am gonna continue with my segment called Make a List. Now I can make the playlist, even though it's only gonna be 2 videos. Um, so yeah, this list, without further ado, is the list of the top 5 video game dynamics. Now, these are not video games that I always recommend. I'll tell you which ones I do. But yeah, these are definitely video games that I think have really good dynamics. And it's just one. It's just one per game. The video game dynamics. I need to kind of look at them, think of an order, because I didn't do that yet, because I think I'm stupid. You know what? Now I know which one. Okay, number 5. Rage. Video game dynamic. AI. Now, AI is something that every video game has. This video game dynamic has AI that's more complex than any dynamic I've ever seen. They have expressions, they have amazingly complex facial features that show whenever they're trying to make those expressions, and every time they react to something you do, say you shoot them in the leg, they'll jump on one leg and they'll stumble a bit. Say you hit them in the shoulder, they'll be pushed back in that direction but still try to keep going in this direction. You know, it actually works. The physics of it is fantastic and they react perfectly, and it's all in the AI. It's not in a physics engine at all. Physics engine for that game is pretty good too. But then again, it's ID and Bethesda, both rich off their ass video game corporations, so what should you expect? The best? Yes. Rage is a game I fully recommend. I hope it's like $30 or less so that you guys can get it. It's so fun, but it's not one of those games that you'll find yourself playing like 3 months later too. Unless you don't play multiplayer. If you don't play multiplayer and you only play single player, you'll find yourself playing this a lot. It's really fun. So yeah, I'm not checking my pulse, by the way. Just so you know. Okay, number 4. Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. This was a hit and miss for me. I remember in 6th grade, this video game aired its trailer. I'm talking about how for the 360, this game was going to come out and revolutionize Star Wars as we know it. It was going to bring about the guy known as the Apprentice, Darth Vader's secret apprentice, and he was going to be trained in the Force, the dark side of the Force, since a little kid, the first one who would be trained from youth to harness the most ultimate dark side powers of the Force, which, of course, Darth Vader. Who better to teach? Who better to be a teacher than Darth Vader himself? The idea of it, the dynamic that I'm talking about, is the ultimate power of the Force. The greatest power. All possibilities. To be able to, what I was imagining was like you could punch somebody, send them flying, right? You punch holes through people. You could kick someone and send them flying. You could channel force through any part of your body in any way. You could use force push, force pull, and those are actually, force push at least, is done really well, and so is force kinetics. It's like moving stuff and throwing them. Those are handled fairly well. So kudos for that, but there's so many force powers that they had in earlier Star Wars games. Knights of the Old Republic, Jedi Knight series, Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, on its own had tons more force powers than that game has. Now, that game has a lot of cool ideas that I would love to see continued in better ways than they did with the Force Unleashed 2, which was really fun, but so insultingly short, and so much of a ripoff of the first one that it wasn't worth full price. It was DLC at best. At best, I would say it's an add-on that you should have gotten if you just pre-ordered the game or bought it on the first day. But it was an entire sequel sold for full price. Just insulting. But the idea is that you can use Force Lightning with pretty much anything. You can channel it through your lightsaber. You can do the same with Force Push, and that's cool. There's this like batter up situation where you can do where you, I think it's 2 hits with the lightsaber and then Force, so then it's boom, 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 and it just knocks them out of the park, sort of thing, which was cool, and I'd like to see that done more so. I'd like to see a bunch of force powers applied that way, and that you could select them or maybe specialize in them. It was a hit and miss for me. I was expecting full use of the Force. They had so much time to develop it. I mean, 6th grade to when they developed it, I think, my sophomore year of high school. Or actually, no. I think it was my junior year of high school, maybe. Whatever it was, it took them forever, and, I mean, come on. It shouldn't have taken that long. And, just to do that, I mean, they should have come out, like, it's like Duke Nukem, it was kind of a disappointment, but its dynamic that it was trying to go for is the dynamic that I approve of entirely. And that brings us to number 3. Dark Void. Another hit and miss for me. Jetpack. Jetpack's the dynamic we're talking about. There's a part in the video game where it becomes so brutally epic, where you have to get your jetpack, escape, or something of that nature, and then you set a bomb or something. Those of you who've played this game, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because this was the only part of the game that you would tell your friends about and be like, this game is epic as hell. Right, because you have to set a bomb at like the top of a building, and then turn off your jetpack, free fall, and then, because that's the only way you can go, right, your jetpack's not going to bring you straight down to the ground. It mainly propels you or something like that. It's really epic. It's like something out of a James Bond movie, and you're like, this game kicks ass. Now, they could have taken that and done so much more with it, but they didn't. And that's sad, right? And you have machine guns. I don't know if you can tell. There are machine guns on this jetpack on your shoulders, so you can like take out aircraft, right? Like you're a cooler version of a super soldier, really, and you're one that makes a bit more sense, because you're in a world that doesn't make any sense. And so it was a hit and miss for me. It was a really fun game, considering it was only like $10 for me, but I wanted to see that dynamic. I mean, it was on the top 10 list in terms of anticipated games. Jesus, excuse me. Yeah, sorry. And then again, so was 2 Human. 2 Human was also on the top 10 list of anticipated games a long way back. So was Age of Conan. So, goes to show you how people view video games. And again, that top 10 list has saved me countless times. Anyways, without further ado, Number 4. Driver San Francisco, the shift power. Now, this is something that no video game has done before, but it's so simple. The idea of a driving game where you can possess people in other cars, right? And not only is this dynamic done to its fullest extent, where you can go into any car and even in a race, you can just like crash into other cars, send them into a worse place in the race, or even destroy them entirely, putting you automatically in first. But it's done so creatively. You find yourself shifting into vehicles, possessing people, certain people who are taking their driver's test, or maybe a lesson or something, and then there's the teacher saying, "Okay, you can slow down now. What are you doing?" Yeah, I think I'm a better driver than you. Can I prove it or something like that? It's so witty and so amazing. There's sometimes when I think there was one time I was in a car um and there's this lady and she's like, "How much more time till we're at the hospital?" "Wait, why do you need to go to the hospital?" "Are you kidding me, Rick? I'm pregnant. Go." And it's just like, whoops, getting out of that car. And there's so many different lines of dialogue that you can have in those cars alone that they didn't spare any expense, right? Um, Even that little part is amusing enough. And then shifting into vehicles to crash them into uh, cars that you're racing with, or to find other cars, or to be able to return stolen cars. They use it so much, and they really work that dynamic in fantastically, and I love it. Um, and so, yeah, first I recommend that. But now we must go on to our number 1 video game dynamic. The orange box, namely Half-Life 2. Now I know this is a cop-out, and I know you already know what it is. It's the gravity gun. Now this idea was original at the time, so it's not like anyone had this beautiful idea of telekinesis. Um, it simply wasn't a part of it. Um, and so Half-Life 2 really brought this idea that you can just harness uh, the energy of anything, right? You can pick up a barrel from far away and chuck it, and it could be an explosive barrel, and it could explode, and everybody could die, right? Or you could pick up a saw blade and just fling it, and then just razor through countless enemies. It was really one of the most fun dynamics I've ever seen in a video game, and it's pretty amazing how ahead of its time Half-Life 2 was. I know that's really a cop-out because everybody says, "Oh, Half-Life 2." If you're a video game critic, Half-Life 2 is like your Bible. But it seriously was. I wouldn't do a cop-out if I wasn't sincere about how much I enjoyed it. I really wouldn't. So I fully recommend getting the orange box. It's oodles of fun. And Valve, either get Half-Life 2 Episode 3 out or Half-Life 3 out soon, and stop doing your weird thing with Steam. Okay, you already got that set up. Start making more video games. We need you. Okay, so that's my list for today. It was really hard to gather up these games. There are a lot of ones that I really wanted to say, but these are the top 5 dynamics, in my opinion. So yeah, I hope this was informative. I hope this helped you in making a few video game purchases. This is Bodala, signing out.